Coming up next, I'll tell you why Michael Jordan became truly great, and I'll tell you the one thing that will guarantee your growth. We'll take your calls and your chats. It all starts right now. I am coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville, and you are joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do it, and how you can get there. The all-important conversation that answers the big question that every human wrestles with: why am I here? We believe that you were created to work, to contribute to the world through your work, specifically by using what you do best, that's your talent, to do what you love to do, that's passion, to produce results that matter deeply to you, that's mission. Talent, passion, mission, where they all intersect. That's your sweet spot, where you operate in a state of flow. And it's important that you figure out what this is, because someone out there needs you to be you. And that's why the Ken Coleman Show is here for you. Now, some of you have been watching. You've never called in. Today's your day. 844-747-2577. You're not a prop on this show, somebody that I can rail against to prove a point. No, I am part coach, part counselor, part cheerleader. What are you facing today? Fear, doubt, pride, the three big enemies we confront here on the show. So call in. You can also send your question via chat. Go ahead and do that now. We'll get that in the chat room coming up in just a few moments. We'll get to those questions. So do that now. And while you're watching, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share the show if it is helping you. So I'm a big basketball fan, have been my whole life. My dad used to joke that I was born with a basketball in my hands. And I am a child of the 80s. And so the new documentary on ESPN, it's a 10-part documentary entitled The Last Dance, has absolutely enthralled me. And I'm telling my boys, hey, watch this with me, guys. You'll get to see how great Michael Jordan really is. But I wanted to share a couple specific things because, yes, Michael Jordan had tremendous raw talent. If you know anything about him, you know he didn't make his high school basketball team until he had a growth spurt. And even as a freshman, he was inconsistent, according to the legendary UNC head coach, Dean Smith. But it was in his freshman year that he went from inconsistent freshman and raw, talented teenager to a truly great player. And the reason he became great really has nothing to do with the raw talent, because, again, yes, he was a physical and athletic wonderkind, a savant, but he had to develop it. And I just want to share a couple quotes that have come from the documentary that are so good. Dean Smith, as I said that he was inconsistent as a freshman. However, he was one of the most competitive players in our drills. He wanted to get better, listen, and then he had the ability to get better. So it wasn't just the ability, it was that he wanted to get better. UNC assistant coach Roy Williams, during that time is now the head coach at UNC, said that once he and Jordan were conversing, and Jordan said, I want to be the best basketball player to ever play. Williams said, well, you're going to have to work even harder than you did in high school. And Jordan replied, I'm going to show you. Nobody will ever work as hard as I work. Williams said in the documentary, and he never freaking turned it off. James Worthy, who was a great at the time at UNC, said, I can remember after 2.5 hours of hard practice, I'm walking off the floor to go get a shower, and here comes Michael pushing me back on the floor, wanting to play a little one-on-one, wanting to see where his game was. Folks, he wanted to measure himself against somebody older and better. Another former UNC teammate, Matt Doherty, said, he was a sponge. He listened, he learned, and he competed. Jordan once said, I don't do things half-heartedly because I know if I do, then I can expect half-hearted results. I share those testimonies, that quote, because some of you out there have a tremendous amount of talent, and yet if you're honest with yourself, you're not working as hard as you should be. You aren't operating with full hearts. Half-hearted effort gets half-hearted results. The one thing keeping many of you from greatness, being great for you, for others, being the greatest version of you, not the version of somebody else, but of you. What's keeping you back is your work ethic, working hard, listening, learning, competing. Are you doing that? Those three things ought to become a part of your daily routine. 844-747-2577 is the number. 844-747-2577. To the phones we go. Meredith starts us off in Baltimore, Maryland. Meredith, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken. Thank you so much for having me today.
You bet. What's going on, Meredith?
So I work at a local state college. I work with students with disabilities, and it's a great job, but it's really not my passion. I'm a new mom, and I speak to moms do fertility treatments, and I really love to teach and encourage women regarding infertility and like meal planning and organization. And I really enjoy children, but I feel like I'm a little stuck right now. I don't know what to do next.
Okay. Well, what would you do if you knew that I could just give it to you today? So it's not about qualifications and whatever kind of training and cost associated with that or making new connections. Just I give you the chance right now to try something in those two areas that you just mentioned, children, coaching, maybe teaching women in those specific areas. What would you do, Meredith, if failure was not even on the table?
I would love to meet women and families to be their coach.
There you go. Okay, now, have you done the research in that industry to say, okay, who's doing that? Where are they doing that? Meaning, are they doing that for themselves as a sole proprietor or an entrepreneur, or are they doing that for other companies and other organizations? And then, do you know how much those people make? Have you answered those questions?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you have to start there, because what's going on is the reason you feel stuck is because you don't know what step to take next. And when you don't know, it kind of paralyzes you, doesn't it? Isn't that what you're experiencing right now?
No.
No, that's what...
I'm sorry. That's exactly what I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, so here's the deal. Getting unstuck is a function of you getting clear. So it's stage 1 of my 7 stages to living the dream. Get clear. You've got some clarity on the type of people you want to help. So this becomes a 2-part scavenger hunt, and you got to go scavenge for the answers. Okay, if I was going to help mothers and women, I know how I want to help them because you mentioned the topics. Essentially, you mentioned the need that they have. And so you know the solution is coaching them, and you've got all these things in your head. So so that you're a little bit further along, I feel like, on that one. Who would be the kids? If I was gonna pay you to work with children, in what capacity would you be doing that? In other words, what need would you want to be addressing?
I would want to work with school-age children, and then learning about helping them with their a social emotional challenges in school. Excellent.
So now we've got the scavenger hunt on that side. So we know what to look for with helping women, and now we know what to look for helping children. So what you do is you go and you look in the marketplace. All right, we got Baltimore, Maryland. Let's just draw a circle in our mind's eye around the city of Baltimore. And who are the organizations? I would look in the for-profit, nonprofit, and government. Okay, I'm just kind of helping you create 3 buckets of potential employers. Who's helping those people? And then I'm narrowing this thing down. You see where I'm going already? You know where to go. You've got a couple hours worth of work right now, don't you?
You're so right. Yes.
Come on.
I do. That's awesome. Yeah.
So listen. So you start looking at those organizations that are helping those 2 people groups that you're passionate about. And as you look into this, you're going to get more clarity as to, well, would I rather help women or kids? You will find that the more you dig, that your heart will go, well, I think I want to help this people group more than I do this people group, but I would love to help both. So I feel like I got great options. And I think that's where you sit right now. So go do that homework. And when you find out what jobs are out there, then you ask yourself the question, which is stage 2 of my 7 stages. What is it going to take for me to get qualified? Am I already qualified? Great. If I'm not, what do I have to learn and do? That's education experience. Doesn't necessarily mean a degree, but just is there some certification or some training? So what do I need to learn and do? How much is that going to cost me? And based on my budget, how long is that going to take? Meredith, you get the answers to those questions and you've got yourself a plan, and there's no reason to be stuck anymore. 844-747-2577 is the number. 844-747-2577. Let's go not too far from Meredith, Washington, D.C. Caitlin is on the line there. Caitlin, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Thank you so much for taking my call, Ken.
You bet. What's happening, Caitlin?
So I have a work dilemma. I'd love your advice. I'm in education, and a couple of years ago, I took on an additional administrative role. And I think I'm good at it, but it's not my passion, and it's been a lot to manage 2 jobs. I also have 2 young kids, and so it's really taken away from my other personal and professional goals. Mm-hmm. So earlier this year, I announced that I was stepping down. It was only a temporary position anyway, but I think everyone just assumed I would continue.
From the administrative job?
Right, exactly.
Okay, all right.
But the person underneath me, who works underneath me in that role, was really upset by the announcement and has been really overwhelmed and doesn't know if they want to take on my role. Mm-hmm. And so this was already happening pre-pandemic, but of course it's worse now.
Right.
So my question is, how do I let go of my guilt around leaving this role, and how do I step away gracefully when I feel like my leaving's not coming at a great time and is causing someone else to be, pretty upset and overwhelmed?
Okay. So we ask ourselves clarifying questions when we have doubt, because that's what's really driving this guilt. You're doubting yourself whether or not you're doing the right thing. Am I a jerk for leaving? And so that's what's driving these feelings of guilt. So anytime there's doubt, because that's the source. This is really important, Caitlin, and also for others that are watching and listening right now. Whatever we're feeling is always the symptom. Do you understand? So we want to get to the source. The source, we got to heal the source, then the symptom goes away. We're not going to just treat the symptom. So clarifying questions when we deal with doubt. We got to get clear. Is this the right decision for you and in your life, Caitlin?
Yes, it absolutely feels like it is.
Absolutely. Okay. Are you a jerk, a bad person, for making a decision that is best for you and your family?
No, when you say it like that, no, but I think it's something that a lot of women wrestle with, definitely.
I get it, but I'm just asking you, are you a jerk for making this decision? The answer is unequivocally no, you're not a jerk.
Right.
Is this in any way an unethical decision to leave this company right now? Is this unethical in any way?
No.
Oh, okay, great. Is it your responsibility, Caitlin, to deal with the organizational, structural workload changes after you leave?
No, that's a good point.
Okay. Those are the clarifying questions. So you shouldn't feel guilt. It's okay for you to, you're a really good person. And so you might feel bad that the person underneath of you is all stressed out, and it makes you a normal person. But their stress isn't your stress. Their problems aren't your problems. We just walked through 3 clarifying questions that should allow you to tell the voice of doubt, hey, shut up. All right? That's it. That's
so helpful. Thank you so
simple.
much.
You bet, Caitlin. Hey, I'm proud of you for making the right decision for you and your family. And let me throw one little nugget in there in case doubt tries to get back in your head in the next 24 hours or however long. You just think about those 3 questions plus those little kiddos and how much better their life is going to be because of this decision, and how much better your heart is going to be because you get to spend more time with them. That should take care of all of the guilt. Smash it, folks. The way to smash fear and smash doubt and smash pride is to always retreat to clarifying questions. Always deal directly with the doubt. And that's what we did there. That's such a fun, freeing exercise. 844-747-2577. Hey, here's the reality, folks. A lot of you listening and watching, or people that you know and love, are going to need to get back in the job market. And it's going to be funky for a little bit as different companies come back online. And the reality is we are a service-based economy. If you're not paying attention to that, we really are. We really just pass money around. If you think about how much of our economy and how many of the jobs right now are in the retail space, the service industry, hotels, airlines, tourism, all that kind of stuff. We are a service-based economy. And so it's going to take a little bit of time to get the consumer confidence back up. And yet you still need to get back to work. And we are doing some super exciting things here at the Ken Coleman Show, some of which I cannot tell you about yet. However, I want to remind you, our Get Hired guides that have been on the website for a while are still as relevant, in fact, more relevant than ever. Our resume guide, our interview guide, the interview follow-up guide. It works for remote interviews as well. Go get all three. They're absolutely free. Right now, KenColeman.com. And I promise you, you're going to have a leg up. So go get them. All right, let's get to the chat room. Robert Series writes in, is now a good time to start a business? Well, Robert, that's a loaded question, and you gave me no details. So I'm going to give you a couple of clarifying questions that I believe will help you get to a good, clear place to answer the question yourself. Is now a good time to start a business? All right. Is your product or service, is it meeting a glaring need right now? Is your product or service meeting a standard need? Is it meeting a luxury need? I think you have to look at that right now because money from the consumer has constricted. So you have a scared consumer, or at least concerned consumer, who is spending less on anything that is not really, really needed. And so I would take that into account. If your product or service is meeting a glaring need, could be a good time. If it's just meeting I need it, but there's a lot of people out there already providing that, I don't know that it's a good time. And if it's a luxury need, if you can get to the luxury customer who still has the capabilities to buy it, and it's totally geared towards a luxury disposable income crowd, then I'd say go for it. But if it's a luxury for the everyman, meaning they might buy it when they got their normal job and it's one of those splurge items, I wouldn't do it. Now, one other thing to think about, a clarifying question is this going to take a good amount of capital for you to get started? Do you have the capital? Have you mitigated the risk? Knowing I've got the money now, I know I may lose it, but if I do, it doesn't ruin me. And then that leads to the other clarifying question. Is this meant to be something that you live off of now? Or is it something that, again, you funded and you're just trying to get it going? And if you've got the cash and it's not something that you need an ROI, return on interest, right away, I'd say go for it. But those are the basic questions that would lead me to say yes or no. Let's go to Lucy Red 202. I'm a chef and a manager. I'm really good as a manager. I love developing people. I'm also good at helping people with their nutrition needs. How do I merge the two? What would I call it? Well, it's interesting. I've got a good friend who's one of the top chefs in Nashville. And, Matt is a guy who is both of these things. He's a good leader and he's a great chef. And so I think, I think you're overthinking it. Because if the chef is the owner, or in this case, maybe in your case, the chef would be a leader of certain people, and you're good at leading and you're good at cooking and putting great meals together and nutrition, I don't know that you got to have a title that says both, because a lot of chefs I know are business owners or certainly business operators. So I wouldn't overthink it. Just do both. Just do both. Let's go here. Moni, my best friend just lost their job due to the coronavirus. I can help them get a job at my company, but it just seems like they're no longer encouraged. How can I help motivate them again? Well, you can't. So, there's two questions here. I think you're really saying, can I help them, or how do I help them? And then, how can I help motivate them? You can't motivate them. It's their motives. So the word motivate comes from the root word motive. And I think the only thing you can do is help them get clear, talk through what are your motives? Where do you want to end up? Why do you want to end up there? Does getting a job right now, even though it may not be in the line of work or the career space or the role you ultimately want to be in, you lost your job, you need some income. This will be really good. You feel good about yourself. If you get back to work, you begin to create some money and get stable and then start to take the steps towards what you want to do. To the extent that you can help them dream, and not just dream, but get excited about taking the job that you're willing to get them as a step to their dream. I think that's the best thing and the only thing you can really do right now. You know, there's an old phrase, Joe, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And I think that's really true when it comes to friends and family that are down. And so I've thought about that quote many, many times. And you know what you can do as a friend or family? You got to lead them to the water. That's the only thing you can do. It's interesting. I've broken that phrase down before, and I think a lot of people go, well, they say it as I've done everything I can, and they're not doing it. And you just kind of go, how disappointing. And it is disappointing when you help somebody and you lead them to the water and they won't take a drink. But I think the phrase is what it is. I think you should take the burden of responsibility off of you. It's hard because we love these folks. But I think if I'm a good friend, the only thing and the right thing is to lead them to the water. I led you here. This is good water. This is good for you. But you got to lean down and drink it, horse, right? I mean, that's essentially what the deal is. And you can't have any sense of guilt, and you can't really be too bummed and too hurt if they won't drink. Now, it initially hurts and you're bummed. You got to get past it and go, I did everything I can do. I put them in a place where they can drink and they can thrive. They've got to do it. They got to choose. Outside of that, there's nothing else I can do. Let it go. 844-747-2577. 844-747-2577. I opened today's show by saying I'm going to share the one thing that will guarantee your growth. And it's interesting, this comes off of this chat from Moni and the illustration of the old colloquial old phrase, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And I was thinking about this morning. There's a great Benjamin Franklin quote that I saw this morning in a journal that I look at every day. Franklin said, when you're finished changing, you're finished. Ouch. I read that and I was like, whoa, Ben Franklin dropping the mic. And he's right. So I started thinking about this and I thought, you know what? The positive side of that quote is understanding that change is for many people really, really, really uncomfortable. It's not fun to the point that it's painful emotionally. Well, let's just acknowledge that. It doesn't make you a wimp, doesn't make you a baby. I'm not criticizing you. Let's just call it out. Some people really love change. They embrace change. It doesn't affect them at all. But all of us on some level, every one of us, at times in our life are forced with change, and it's very uncomfortable. All of us have an opportunity to choose change, and even that is a little scary because there's some unknowns associated with change. So that's the psychology of facing change. But I wrote this down after reading the quote from Franklin. The one thing that will guarantee your growth in your personal life and in your professional life is accepting change and embracing change and making change. Okay? See, I've got to embrace change as this is a normal, should be a normal part of my life. Now I've got to accept that some change needs to happen, and then now I've got to make the change. And when you operate that way and adopt that way of thinking and acting, there's no stopping your growth. Now, some will grow faster than others, but I'm telling you the one thing that will guarantee your growth in your personal and professional life, Every aspect of your life is if you decide to always be changing for the better. It's essentially the recipe for improvement. I understand change is going to have to happen. I see a change that I need to make, so I embrace change as a whole. I accept specific change that I know I need to make, and now I don't just accept it, I do something about it. Whew. I'm telling you, folks, you get into that kind of rhythm, you're going to see exponential growth in your life. So stop overthinking the growth in your personal life that you need to make and want to make. Stop overthinking business leaders. Those of you that are in the corporate space, you're going, I want to grow in my profession. Stop overthinking it. What positive changes do you need to make? Now, again, change all over the place. I need to change who I hang out with. I'm going to have to break up with some friends that are dragging me down. I'm going to have to start hanging out with some eagles. I'm going to have to get more intentional in what I read and what I learn. I'm going to have to get more intentional about who and how I connect. These are the types of change that will guarantee improvement. So I really want you to embrace change. In fact, a little bit of a challenge today. What's one thing that you can change today? This is fun. I didn't plan to say this. What's one thing that you have the power to change today? You've been thinking about it, been wrestling with it. Make the change. Just do it. Make the change. You know, there's no debate anymore. Just do it. Make the change. And it's not going to put you in a risky place, but it is going to make you uncomfortable. It's got some unknowns attached to it that, again, aren't really risky, but they just create a little bit of anxiety in your chest. And so, hey, let's just change. Let's just walk right into it. Today. Do it. 844-747-2577. Hey, quick promotion that'll help you. Great gift if you're looking for a really inexpensive gift that's got long-term return on your investment. It's my best-selling book, The Proximity Principle, the proven strategy that will lead to the career you love. The Proximity Principle says in order to do what you want to do, you got to be around the people that are doing it and in the places where it is happening. Why? Because the right people plus the right places create opportunity that comes to us and knocks on our door. The best-selling book is now available. 3 formats, really cheap. Hard copy, $10, ebook, $8, audiobook, $3.99, all at kencoleman.com. Limited time. Go get it. All right, 844-747-2577. Let's go to Hillsborough, New Jersey. Tangela joins us there. Tangela, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken.
Hi,
Thank
Tangela.
you for taking my call. Hi.
Well, I'm happy to.
I'm happy to talk to you.
Good.
I'm on a 3-month unpaid leave of absence.
Okay.
And if I get called back, I do not have a strong desire to go back. I was unhappy when I was there, and I think this may be my opportunity to do something different.
It is.
So I've always been told that I should use my voice, that my voice is my gift. So I'm trying to figure out how can I jump or break into the voiceover industry.
Oh, okay, great.
And if that's a good move for me or any thoughts.
Do you think it's a good move for you?
I've always been told that I should use my voice, and I would like to.
Good. So that's the answer is yes. So here's what's great about voiceover work. What's great about voiceover work, Tangela, is there's no risk here, and there's very little investment. So I want to address any unknowns that you have, because I think you asked the question, how would you get into that? And the answer is you would start to do some demos. If you've got some friends who own some businesses, and they're looking for, maybe they want some voiceover work on some of the videos, so you can do a lot of pro bono, a lot of free work right now just to create a body of work, because a voiceover artist is judged on their ability to do the voice work itself. So there's a couple things that you can do. One is to begin to do some of those things, but before you offer yourself, I want you to go to school on some other female voiceover specialist. And there are websites all over the internet that will allow you to search people and listen to their work. So I think if you can find some women that have a similar voice to yours, and I would listen to them, listen to their audio with a notebook in front of you. What do they do that you like? Oh, I like their rhythm. I like the pace. I like the intonation. I like the enunciation. I like, whatever. And make notes on what is pleasing to you. Are you tracking with me so far?
Yes.
So all of a sudden you go to school on somebody else and you're not paying a nickel for that. Okay. So you're learning. And then I want you to watch commercials on YouTube, maybe several networks every night. You DVR some shows and you listen to TV commercials that have women voicing them. And go again on YouTube. The stuff is out there. And all of a sudden you begin to build this model voice or model voices that sound similar to you, and you know they're good because they're doing big boy and big girl stuff, right? And so you know they're making money to do it. I think that's where I'd start. Then after I had done some of my own home study and really learned what worked, I would maybe take some of those commercials and write the script out. And you can listen to these things and type it out. Then record your own voice just doing the script. And that's another great exercise. Then I would do what I just mentioned a few moments ago. I kind of got ahead of myself. I would look to do some voiceover work for maybe some friends or friends of friends who have companies and just offer your services for next to nothing or nothing, just so that you can say, okay, I've done this voiceover work for this company, this company, this company. That's how you get started. And when you put enough of a demo together, which by the way, when you're out there doing this research, Tangela, you're looking at other voiceover artists and the type of samples they're putting together, because that's what they're getting hired on are their demos. So you need some real companies to where you're doing demos, whether they ever put it on their site or not. The idea is that you can say, well, I did this demo for this company, I did this and this. And so the point is, Tangela, you just start doing little things like that and you build it up, and you want to get connected maybe in some voice talent associations and things like that so that you're in proximity to the places. So you're hanging out in those associations, those online webinars and trade shows, online communities. Those folks are out there. I know this because I got a good friend of mine who's doing it very well that used to work here at Ramsey Solutions. And so he's doing a ton of this. He's got radio stations pulling his stuff and he's doing all kinds of stuff. So that's how you get started. Now, here's the deal, Tangela. That's not going to pay the bills right away. It's just not. It's going to take some ramp up time. Do you understand?
Yes.
How much money do you need to make?
I would say, you mean?
No, I'm saying, if what do you make right now in your salary? So what do you need to make at a baseline just to take care of your needs?
I would say 45,000.
Okay, so that's the number. When you reach 45,000, when you reach 45,000 as a voiceover artist, then you're full time. But until then, you're doing this on the side. And by the way, you can. This is the type of thing you could hold down a full-time job and do voiceovers early in the morning if that's your jam, or do voiceovers in the evening when you get home from work or at night after dinner. That's the type of thing that you can do. And you don't have to be full-time investment in that to actually make good money. So right now, it's if you can get back on this other job, the day job you didn't love, but it was okay, I would do that. But whatever you're going to do, whether it's the role you just got furloughed from or the leave of absence, you're going to have to replace 45,000, and the voiceover stuff is all gravy. Okay, but here's the deal: if you make 5,000 in your first year, and then 15,000 in your second year, and you're just stacking that money up. And you're not spending that at all unless you've got some debt, and I would use that extra money to pay the debt off and then get an emergency fund. But outside of that, I'd save it. But you'll get there. It just may take you 3 to 4 years to go full time. But you have to ask yourself the big question: if I knew that I wouldn't fail at being a voiceover artist, would I do it? And what's the answer?
Yes.
You would. There you go. So I say go for it. It's time to go. It's time to go, Tangela. And it's just that simple. Hey, Madison, do me a favor. You and Nathan talk in the control room. I want to send Tangela the link to Cam's website. You know what I'm talking about, Nathan? Our old pal. I know he's got a website, and this will be very helpful to her. So Madison, between you and Nathan, we can get his website, and he's got a great demo site. Oh, great. She's already got it. Tangela, that's my gift to you. And also give her a copy of the proximity principle, whatever format she would prefer. And that way she can see everything I just said. She can see how Cam, because Cam did that. Joe, you remember our pal Cam. I remember when I was hosting the video channel, he was a camera guy, and I remember when he started it. And he just started putting stuff together, and he started getting a client here, a client there, and the guy's doing stuff all over the country now. Is he really? Joe just said he's booming. So it's possible. But here's the key. You've got to understand that you have to start that on the side. It is a side hustle. And you build it up, and that's how it works. All right. Man, that went fast. I hope you're having as much fun as I am. Remember, you matter, and you do have what it takes. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.